So we're going to do a bit of introduction today on cloud accounting, taking you through some of the startup points in terms of cloud accounting and how we can help you with that process and get you to grips with the essentials that are there. A little bit of housekeeping. So we are recording the webinar, so it's going to go onto our website so it can be watched on demand. So for any reason you need to hop off at any point, that's not a problem. You'll get a copy come across on your email, but also it's going to go on our website with the bank of existing webinars we've got there. We're also going to be running a Q&A. So down the bottom of your screen, you'll have a questions and answer box. So please put any questions that you have in there. How the Q&A box works is that you put your questions in and they only come across to us. And if we can't answer them on the call for whatever reason, then we'll come back to you on an individual basis as we've got your email details. So there's a little bit of an introduction to us. So you've got myself, Shelley. I'm an associate director here at Knights Low. I work with business owners and their directors to help them achieve whatever goals they've got for their business. And this might be a limited company or sole traders. And we work very closely with those. I'll then let Michael introduce himself.
Hello, I'm Michael Welsh. I'm a client portfolio manager here at Knights Low. I've been at Knights Low 7, almost 8 years now, and I work with a range of owner-managed businesses of all sides, very much like Shelley, very closely with our clients.
And hello, I'm Charlotte. I'm one of the senior accountants here at Knights Low. I work with a number of different areas of the business, but I am also the cloud accounting expert of the firm as well. So I get very involved with the cloud accounting side of the business.
Brilliant.
Perfect. So we're going to aim to sort of do this webinar around the 30-minute mark, so we don't take up too much time out of your day. But to start off with, I'm going to sort of give you a bit of an overview in terms of what is cloud accounting. So cloud accounting, it's been around for a little while, but it's certainly been developing over the last few years quite rapidly. It was very much designed to take away that traditional methodology of that manual record keeping, be it your old books, or it might be keeping a spreadsheet, which can be quite laborious and it's open to quite a lot of errors actually. So yeah, it's to move away from that environment and to actually give you much more on-demand information. Like it says on the screen, the idea is it very much improves the speed, efficiency, and the accuracy. And it is designed for businesses at all sorts of levels. So you might be a new startup, you might be not that registered and just ticking over as a nice small business. All of these softwares are compatible for a wide range of businesses. So it's not just looking at those that are rapidly growing or have that significant size yet. So for a number of you that are on the webinar today, you're business owners, and you're probably looking at how can we be more efficient? And how can cloud accounting help us with that? It certainly helps with the compliance side of thing and the ease of access. And actually, it helps us as your accountants or your existing accountants to work with you because it's readily available. So I'm going to hand over to Charlotte. So Charlotte's going to run us through some of the benefits of using cloud accounting because she's sort of best placed for doing that.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you. So in terms of cloud accounting, you'll hear a lot of emphasis in general on the efficiency of cloud accounting and how it can streamline processes and help you out for your day-to-day business. The main benefit of it is it allows you to store all of your information in one place, all your financial information in one place. And there's a very clear process for accessing all of that information. So it can help you in terms of growing the business and keeping on top of everything. It also allows for a lot more data to be held in one place versus traditional accounting methods. I mean, if you're keeping paper transactions, lots of bits of paper everywhere is not an easy thing to store and very messy. And also, if you're keeping everything on a storage folder on your computer, again, that can become quite full and make your computer quite slow. So keeping everything on the cloud in one place is quite beneficial from that point of view. In addition to that, obviously you're holding a lot of information on the cloud, and that can be daunting for some people, but it is very safe and secure, and there are a lot of processes in place to keep your data safe. So it's something that you can be certain that is being looked after correctly. And it includes protection and data encryption, and multi-factor authentication as well. So there is a lot of layers there that will help you to make sure that you feel safe and secure with the information that you hold. And it is also a benefit that you can access the data from anywhere. So whether you're out and about yourself, your kind of business is based on you going out to clients maybe, then you can access the data that you need when you're out with them. And in addition, it means that you can access it perhaps when you're out with your accountant, or even your accountant can access it for you at their side. So it's really, really helpful for us when we have a client phones up and says, oh, I'm really unsure about how to fix something on my accounting. I've done something wrong. I'm not sure this is in the right place. And we can just log on to their a remote system ourselves on this side and see exactly what they're talking about and advise them directly on the phone, because we've got access to the same information that they've got. So it's really, really helpful from that point of view as well, and gives us more accurate information. So again, that leads on to team collaboration. Not only can we collaborate better here as accountants and help you in the various departments, whether it's payroll or bookkeeping or your year-end accounts, but it also means that you at your side can collaborate better with people in your team and work together. If you have someone that works in a different area to you and different side of the business, then they can work on some aspects of the accounting system for you and just really help you to streamline the whole process. It also works out a little bit more cost effective in general, in terms of making sure that you're not spending as much time on manual processes. I mean, I'm sure we're all guilty of having spent an evening trying to go through all our manual paperwork and trying to get it to all add up, and spending long hours on paper records. It's not fun. To have all of the systems automated and working efficiently, so that it's all worked in the background and it's all on top of, and your accountant can look at it and they're not going to be pestering you for loads of responses on stuff. It's just a nice easy flow, and then you won't have to worry so much in terms of the processing that you have to do. And equally, in the same respect, it's scalable as well. So if you need to with growth of the business, if you need to then look at adding on extra products or adding on extra services, then you can scale the software up as well. So hopefully as your business grows, then the software can grow.
Yes, that nicely leads on to cloud as accounting supports bespoke app ecosystems. The beauty of cloud accounting software such as Xero is that you can tailor it to you and your individual business needs. So Xero, Sage, QuickBooks are like the foundation that we can build on with pre-existing apps and add-ons. Of course, the main part of these programs give you very basic financial functions such as income and outgoing payments, VAT, bank reconciliations. However, if there's something else that you need to add on and you want to make your accounting software just work that bit more for you, a bit like what Charlotte was getting to, you could add on apps and other software to that. So a good example of that is, say, if you want a specialist stock system that you want to integrate and it can all work as one. Other potential add-ons, as mentioned here, are payroll, HR, CRMs, quoting systems, invoice systems. Whilst apps like Xero have much of this basic functionality, like there is a basic stock system in Xero, it is basic, but if you want to take it further, brilliant. There are add-ons that we can certainly look at to help support your business. Xero, for example, has over 1,000 apps on its app store that can integrate with its software. So the world is basically your oyster. A good example of an app that we use day to day here at Nightslow is a program called Dext. So what Dext does is it effectively cuts out the manual processes. Long gone are the days of having to manually enter your invoices that you receive. So say you're going out and you fill up your van with fuel, you can use Dext, open it up on your phone, take a picture of that fuel receipt, and then it not only enters that transaction into your accounting software, but it also keeps a record of that receipt on the software as well. So not only you can see it anytime, but we can also see that back up to that invoice. That means that you no longer have to keep manual records. So long gone are the days of trying to get all your paperwork in place for your accountant, having to go through your van, find all those receipts that you've probably lost or misplaced. You know, you can fill up, take a picture, throw that receipt away, job done. It may seem scary to begin with, thinking, oh, I've got to add this, that, but they all do fit together like a puzzle pieces, creating seamless workflows, which hopefully saves you time, reduces error, and ultimately saves you money. Long gone are the days of having to, I keep saying long gone are the days. We no longer have to buy, say, like one desktop piece of software that's all singing or whistling or bells, you know, that has a lot of items that we are never going to use. Now we can buy a basic bit of software and add on exactly what we need. So hopefully, going back to what Charlotte just says, we can cut down the cost for you as well. We can, of course, help you with any additions, you know, any ideas that you have, whether you want to try some apps out. You know, we are here to help you and make your software bespoke effectively.
Perfect. So in terms of the compliance side, so Making Tax Digital was brought in a few years ago, so shorthanded to MTD. So if I say that, that's all I'm meaning. It was brought in for VAT registered business, which actually meant that you had to submit your VAT returns in a specific digital format. So that was a really big drive for the development of a lot of these softwares. Some of the users I know, you were using sort of Sage Desktop, and now Sage have moved on to a cloud accounting platform so that they can be compliant with this requirement. If you are VAT registered, you must be using an MTD compatible software. The penalties and the charges for not doing so have kicked in now. So if you're not yet using one, please reach out because we can help get you up and running really quickly to mitigate as many penalties as possible in that front. The old traditional method doesn't work now for VAT registered businesses, and cloud accounting solutions are certainly the best route in terms of compatibility and moving forward with that. There's loads and loads of options out there, and Charlotte's going to run you through a few of those in a little while. But I think it's also honing in on you don't have to be under MTD at the moment to get the benefits from these softwares. So in 26-27 tax year, we've got Making Tax Digital coming into play for a lot more individuals. So it's going to be based on income levels. So your hand might be forced actually in a few years' time. So why not? Let's get ahead of the flow before we have to be compatible and have to be complying there. So we can get ahead of that and actually reap the rewards of it. There's massive amounts of research that's gone into all of these softwares to make sure they are compatible, but also that they're user-friendly. So yes, they're ticking that compliance box, but they are going to help you in terms of all your solutions and making sure that the process is a whole lot easier for you.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Okay, so I'm going to take you through a little bit of a real world example to put this all into context. So a big part of my day-to-day job, as I previously mentioned, is working with software and not only helping people that are currently on software and helping them with any issues they might have or making any suggestions how to streamline processes or add on apps as we previously mentioned, but also to help clients migrate over from other bits of software to different bits of software if they want to try something else, or to move from a completely manual system to a software-based system. And we've seen it happen quite a few times where it's been very successful and clients are very happy with how we're working on the new system, making sure that they're both compliant and also saving them lots of time. So an example we have here that we've kind of put together to kind of give you an idea of what a kind of example would look like and how we would look at coming up for a solution if a client comes to us and says, this is the issue we have, how can you help us with software? This example here, we're going to use a company A, we're going to call them company A. Very original, I know. It employs 6 people and provides communication services to those to its clients on a project basis. So it's time spent on each job. So it's quite important that they're tracking everything and making sure that everything is all accounted for, because it's on a project by project basis. They're going to invoice on that basis. It also receives services from other businesses, such as office supplies and cleaning supplies, as an example. So when we've got outputs and we've got inputs that we need to account for and make sure we're keeping on top of. First of all, I'd look and consider how the business is currently working. I mean, it's very common for small businesses to work off of manual records and spreadsheets, certainly initially, or if that's the kind of way they've got used to dealing with it, it's a bit harder maybe to think about moving on to software. So we come up with a solution to help make the movement over a smooth one, not too daunting, and to help come up with solutions that work for everyone, because it's not got to just work for us accountants, but it's also got to work for you. You've got to be comfortable with it. So currently this company's got payroll that's outsourced. Staff time is recorded on a standalone app, and it requires careful migration between the systems. The team has to monitor incoming and outgoing payments and invoices manually and retrieve this data when the VAT time comes. So collating all of this information together probably every quarter when they're submitting their VAT returns. It's not only a bit of a headache. A lot of people tend to leave it till the last minute because we don't want to have to deal with HMRC. No one does. So we will have to manually pull all together all this manual information that we've collated over a 3-month period and try and get it to a point where we can submit it to HMRC accurately. Now, not only is that a little bit challenging in terms of pulling it together in the first place, but let's say HMRC come back to us and they have a question. How easily can we pull back together that information that we have used to submit the VAT return in the first place to give them answers to their queries? It's probably not going to be an easy process. So here we're looking for a solution that tries to help with that and make sure that the VAT return is a much easier process, and any reporting is a far easier process because it's all in one place. So from here we'd look to identify the key requirements, which in the case of the example here that we're using is a central accounting system to hold all of the financial records in one place and help us to prepare the accounts for the year end as well. And that would include a payroll support function. Tax and VAT support, that's another area we'll be looking at submitting. Invoice automation, so again, project basis, how can we invoice them? How can we make sure we're including the right expenses and invoicing the correct amount? How is that invoice then going to flow through to our VAT return? Payment and approval automation, so again, looking at how we can bring in the supplier invoices and how we would look at getting those paid off and making sure that the payments are allocated correctly. We can pull off a report at any time and know who we owe money to if we keep our systems up to date, and make sure that we are again including the correct amount of VAT for the other side to the sales, and time tracking so that we can communicate with the invoicing software. So again, we can invoice out, making sure it all works correctly, everyone's invoiced the correct amount. And equally on the same side, we can make sure that we're keeping up to date with those that owe us money. So we can run off a report any time to make sure that we have received all the monies in that we wanted. And if anyone owes us any money, we can perhaps look at chasing that. Equally, there are other apps you can add in to do that for you, which you can always look into further if you decide you need it. More often than not, if you think of a problem you have, there is a solution that can easily be input in and included, and it's very likely to be something we've seen before and come across before, so we can easily advise on that as needed. So, I mean, altogether, I think it shows that you can pull an effective solution together that works for you on a scale of how automated you want it to be. If you still want to be very involved with anything, then you can still manually reconcile to a point, but equally it's then held on an internal system that anyone can access, that obviously that's allowed to be accessed to it, but anyone that can access it in terms of your accountant and any employees that you have. And equally we can provide ongoing training and support and help. So we don't just set you up on a software and say, there you go, enjoy, have fun. We'll help you with it. Initial training sessions, ongoing training, any help ad hoc, as I mentioned, you can just phone us and we can help. Equally, there are a lot of other ways that you can kind of work with the system, which we'll kind of touch on in a minute. But hopefully that shows you kind of a real world example and how that might help you potentially with your business.
Of course, we do appreciate that and acknowledge that there are challenges of adopting cloud software. The first and probably most obvious one is internet connectivity. We do appreciate that in certain rural areas, internet connectivity can be an issue. However, I think with time, this will only get better as the big companies are rolling out additional kind of internet. Personally, for me, I see the biggest challenge is the resistance to change. As human beings, we do not like change. And I'd imagine anyone that's listening who's yet to make the jump has long established workflows that, let's be honest, they work. So why try and mend something that's not broke? I hear you cry. Ultimately, we have to, as Shelley's touched on, it's a path that we're unfortunately being pushed down. So we do have to give it consideration. But one thing I would say to you today is just give it time, try it out. And I think you will be amazed at the added value it will give both you and your business. I will never forget a few years ago when we first started helping people go onto cloud software. One lady, an elderly lady, was very against it. She kept the most beautiful handwritten records, the big old red cash books, reconciled every single penny, so she quite rightly said, why do I have to do this? You've never complained to me in the past. But obviously we had to, because she had to be compliant with making tax digital. And it was about, I don't know, 6 weeks after we had put her across, she was leaving the office, and she turned around and said to me, I wish I'd made the jump a long time ago. So it does show that, just be open to change, and hopefully you will be amazed and see the benefit. Another one that's perhaps not listed on here that is often a challenge to adopting cloud accounting software is you've got old data. You may be on an old Sage desktop, QuickBooks desktop, something like that, and you may want your old data, your previous year's records, to be uploaded into Xero as well. And obviously that is something that we can offer. There's companies out there that help us do it. But again, it's very subjective. We can make your nominal codes be what you're used to. You can have the same naming system. We can make it how you want it to be, to try and make that kind of challenge of adopting a lot less daunting. As Charlotte's touched on, and something I'm sure she'll tell you she does every day, she helps train all of our clients and is always the added support. And I think you've got to remember that it is a long-term investment. Training will be difficult at the start. It is time consuming to move on to something new, but hopefully it won't be long before you start seeing the benefits of cloud accounting. And as Charlotte's touched on, we are always here to help you. One of the biggest things of cloud accounting is you've got a problem, you ring us up, we can see your software at exactly the same time that you can see it. So no longer are we waiting for a backup, having to come and see you at your premises. You can ring up when you've got the problem. We can probably see the problem and talk you through the issue. Another point that I don't believe is on here, which I think is a big barrier to entry for a lot of our clients, is the security. They're very worried about having their data up on the cloud. And all we can do is reassure you that it is top-notch security. It's like often better than banking security. And again, I'm sure some of you don't have online banking, but it's now becoming an everyday item. I certainly don't carry cash anymore, and all my banking's done on my phone. It's just unfortunately the way we're going. But rest assured that security is top notch, because at the end of the day, if anything ever happened, that'd be the end of their business as well, wouldn't it? So it's in their best interest. So, yeah.
So how do you choose the right solution? So there's loads of options out there. If you do a quick Google of accounting systems, there's quite a few results that will come up, so it might appear a bit daunting. At Nightslow, we generally tend to use Xero and recommend Xero because we found that tends to be the best all-round piece of software for the majority of our clients. Equally, it's not everyone's favorite. It doesn't work for everyone. So we're quite open here. If anyone comes to us and so actually I have a preference towards another piece of software, we won't shut them down at all. We're happy to help. We've got plenty of people that are experienced in all the different types of software. We've probably seen all of them here now. So we're quite happy to work with all of the different ones. But for the purposes of this presentation, I'll mainly focus on Xero just because that tends to be what we use, but I'm by no means pigeonholing just to Xero. The best thing to do is to pop online if you are unsure and have a little look. All of these software providers are keen to get you joined with them, so they do offer 30-day free trials or demo companies for you to work around and play with. It might well be that you've used perhaps Sage 50 before in the previous role, or use it currently and you want to migrate to the cloud version. Then might be worth speaking to Sage. There are plenty of people out there that will help you and advise you. Equally, if you come to us and you say, this is my business, this is how it currently operates, this is what we want to do, then we can weigh up positives and negatives for you on each bit of software. So we can go through what the benefits would be to be on each one. In general, we find that Xero works quite well for most people in that it integrates with a lot of third-party apps. So it integrates very well with lots of different online banking systems, lots of POS systems, stock-taking systems. But all of these bits of software will have bolt-ons and solutions for every kind of item that you'll come across in your day-to-day business, whether it's invoice automating, or any of the other bits that we've mentioned previously. So they all work quite well in that point of view. It's a great thing to see when a client has the software. It works really, really well for them. They're getting on with all of the automated little items that they can have, really streamlining their processes. But it can be quite a daunting and difficult decision to make the right decision. It's always best to have a little bit of a trial, as I mentioned, so we can always go through the software with you. So if you wanted to book a one-to-one meeting with one of us, then we can also show you our demo companies that we have. So we can show you what the software looks like and you can get an idea of how it works day to day, because that's a very important part of making a decision. And when you make the decision, or if you make the decision to move over to a particular piece of software, as I mentioned previously, we'd normally look at giving you a training session to start with so that you're comfortable with the software and how it works day to day. We tend to tailor those training programs or that training session to your business specifically. So it tend to be when you come in for a meeting, or if we do it online perhaps, then I would say make sure you have access to your online banking or bank statements if you do it that way. Bring in a couple of invoices with you, bring in a couple of purchases that you've recently made, and let me show you how we would do this week's worth of bookkeeping, so that you've got a very tailored example of how everything works, and you could see how it works day to day for you. Equally, the training doesn't stop there. I have so many clients that will phone me and say, I feel really silly, I've forgotten what you said about this. That's not a problem, it's not silly. We do this every day. We couldn't do your day jobs every day. So we're here to help you. So anytime you want to phone us and ask us any questions, as we said before, the beauty is that we can access your system at any time and we can help you. Equally, if you're a bit worried you're going to try something and it's not going to work for you, then we do our best to help you get comfortable with it. And if it's not something's going to work for you, maybe we look at solutions for something else that would work. Again, these cloud accounting systems, they have a subscription-based service, so it is possible to change over from them if needs be. But I've never dealt with it personally where anyone feels that their stuff was not working for them. But it is there as an option. You don't feel like you have to stay with something if it's not working for you. We want you to be happy at the end of the day. That's what we're here for. If you can get to a comfortable place and you're happy with everything, it makes our job easier down the line as well. So we're just happy if you're happy.
Yeah, and I think the best thing is that if you do give it a go and you do make a mistake, the best thing is you can undo the mistake as well, can't you? So
Absolutely.
it's something that you've just almost got to dive into, play around with, and the worst comes to the worst, we'll just have to undo what you've just done. So there's no, it's just go and enjoy it. I would normally leave the questions to the end, but we have had a question on, do we work with farm plan? And I would say that's one that we don't often work with, but that's not to say that we won't work with you. And obviously we will work with you hand in hand on finding the right solution. And if farm plan is the right solution, then absolutely we can help you with that. That's not a problem. And I think that leads nicely onto the next slide, although Charlotte seems to have answered it all for me anyway. But which one is the right one for you? And to be fair, if farm plan is the right one for you, then that's brilliant. You stay with farm plan. At the end of the day, I've always said there's no easy answer. And I think the bottom one is the most prevalent point on this slide, that it is individual preference. I always go back to the example of, do you have an Apple phone or do you have an Android phone? At the end of the day, they do the same thing. They have the same functions. They might just go around it a slightly different way or have a different design. And ultimately, every kind of software that we've talked about today, be it Xero, QuickBooks, Sage, they all do the same things. They're there to be compliant, to tick the right boxes, to do your bookkeeping. And they're all brilliant at what they do, but it's ultimately down to your personal preference. I think they can all meet your individual budgets. They can all bring in the functions with the add-ons that we've talked about. They're all very good at scaling for team capacity. And again, we've not seen, I don't believe, you might correct me if I'm wrong, but we've not seen a client that's too big for any of these. And I think that's the beauty of it. It is all about making that software work for you, just to free up your time, allow you to work on your business, even to free up some of your personal time, spend your time with your kids. So you're not doing your bookkeeping on a Saturday night, Sunday night. You can be there with your family. So ultimately, the right one for you is the one you prefer. And whilst we do here prefer Xero, that is only our individual preference, and we're more than happy to help you on whatever one you choose to use. So thanks, Charlotte.
So hopefully this has all sort of helped you get a clearer picture of what cloud accounting really is and how it can be beneficial to you and your business. Opposed to those old school traditional methods, be it your manual books, your spreadsheets, it's all about that on-demand access in terms of being able to look at your records wherever you are, know where you stand wherever you are, and your profitability, for example. So yeah, it's really, hopefully they don't seem as intimidating as they did before, but it's actually seeing that there are ways of using these tools to make your life more efficient in terms of those bookkeeping aspects. Like we said with farm plan, absolutely, it's one that we can work with. It's not one that we work with on a more regular basis. But if you have got specific questions, we've got an employee called Jessie who works in our Ipswich office, who's really heavy on the agricultural side. He's got lots of expert knowledge. So if you do have any specific questions on farm plan, we can definitely get you in touch with him and he can give you a hand on that side. Don't underestimate the importance of the training aspect on all of these softwares. They've got brilliant functionalities, but they might be quite far from what you're used to. Lean on us, lean on the team. Charlotte's done some brilliant training with a lot of my clients, where we've gone from scared to use a spreadsheet because they think they might get it wrong, to using decks and importing things and doing everything they can to make things as efficient as possible. So we've got a proven record of how things do get easier, but that training at the start is so valuable just to help you understand what are the hiccups and also build that relationship with us so that you feel comfortable coming up to us and asking the questions. No question is silly, like Charlotte said, there's going to be lots there. Yeah, I hope you found this session helpful. we're going to go through some questions that we've got coming through at the moment, but thank you so much for listening and taking your time out of your day. Like we said at the start, this is going to be available on our website, so if you do want to listen back, if there's any bits that aren't clear, please do reach out to us. In terms of questions, so we've got one question. Does cloud accounting remove the need to keep your paper records? Michael, I don't know if you want to take this one.
Yeah, sure. If you store the records digitally, then yes, absolutely. You've still got to keep your records, and that can either be in paper form or digital, but we would definitely err on the side of digitalize them using a piece of software like Dex, like we've mentioned, that then attaches that invoice, that manual record to the physical transaction. A lot of reasons for that. You'll never go looking for that again because you'll be able to quickly find it. If you ever need to say like email it out, you can. A good example recently is we've had a VAT inspection, which is, you know, just standard practice because the VAT return was slightly different to normal. And this day and age, the revenue often asks for a select number of invoices. Well, that's an absolute breeze when every invoice is attached to the VAT return. So it was a simple case of forwarding the emails on, and yeah, so that did help the client get their money back quicker, which is what we want, isn't it, at the end of the day? So yeah, absolutely. Long gone are the days of having to store years and years in your loft, in your office. You know, they can all be digitalized and got to whenever you need. There is another question that popped up, that do we offer Sage cloud training? Absolutely. Whilst my personal favorite is Zero, a colleague of mine that I work very closely with, would 100% say his favorite is Sage. So yes, he's offered lots of training sessions on Sage. That's not a problem at all.
Perfect. And I think one more's just come in. So we've got,
Okay.
I have a bookkeeper who keeps our records on Excel at the moment. What training would I need to provide for her to use Zero, for example? So Charlotte, I think you're probably best placed to answer this one.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, this is a question I get a lot. So it might be a case that we've had a year-end meeting with a client and they don't actually do their day-to-day bookkeeping, but they have a bookkeeper that does it for them on their behalf. They're interested in migrating over, but they are concerned about migrating over the work that their bookkeeper does, be it that their bookkeeper has worked in a certain way for a long period of time, or they're reluctant to the change themselves because they're not necessarily seeing the end benefit, being not one of the kind of directors of the business as such. It might be for a variety of reasons. The one thing I would say is we're happy to help anyone, whether it be, I've done it in a variety of ways before, whether the client comes in with their bookkeeper and we go through the whole thing together, or I do sometimes go out to clients if they prefer to sit with their bookkeeper that does their day-to-day transactions and really get an understanding from them of what they see as their current job, and not to take their current job away from them, because I think that's a concern for a lot of bookkeepers is, oh, this is going to, you know, mean that my job's irrelevant and I won't be needed anymore. That's not the case. It just means adapting your job very, very slightly to improve the performance of the business. And it might even be something that you enjoy a little bit more, because it is something that you can do more relevant reporting on. But in the same way that we'd work with any one of the you know, members of the business, and we would also work very well with the bookkeeper. We'll just work with whoever is needed to help you in the best way possible. Equally, if you feel like several people need training sessions, I've had it quite recently with a larger client that has sort of a team of 4 or 5 people working on their bookkeeping in different areas. You know, some are processing sales invoices, some are sending out delivery notes, that kind of thing. We can tailor the training to them and work with each person individually to make sure that everyone has a good understanding and to make sure that everyone's happy with how everything works. And again, continuing on, we can help anyone that phones in and asks us for advice on their area. We can still pop into the software and have a look. So it works quite well in that sense as well. So hopefully that answers that question.
Thank you, Charlotte. Yes, we haven't had any other questions come in. On our screen now are our contact details. So if you do have anything specific that you want to ask, please don't hesitate to drop us an email, give us a call. We're more than happy to have a quick conversation, see how we might be able to help you and sort of plan for how we go forward, and how we're going to be able to help you in terms of your migration, perhaps onto cloud accounting, or it might be you've already started your journey, but you're not sure where to go next. Or add-ons might be able to help you. We can absolutely help you with all of those processes. So yeah, our contact details are on screen. If you do think of any questions, please just drop us an email and we'll come back to you as soon as we can, and answer those for you. But I think finally, thank you so much for your time today, taking the time out of your day to go through this with us. Any questions, let us know. But yeah, thank you from all of us, and hopefully we'll speak to some of you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.